us. Fedusa says it's considering pulling out of Africa's largest fund manager, the Public Investment Fund. The Government Employee Pension Fund is the largest investment wing for the PIC and constitutes about 88% of the PIC total investment. The PIC oversees nearly 2 trillion rand in assets on behalf of government employees, and the Government Employees Pension Fund administers pension funds for the union's 230,000 members who are government employees. Now Fedusa says it's concerned that plans are in the pipeline to capture the PIC, that's the Public Investment Corporation, and to replace the current CEO Dan Matjila with an acting CEO linked to the Gupta family. Fedusa says pulling out of the Government Employees Pension Fund will be done to protect the interests of its members. PIC CEO Dan Matjila recently came under fire amid allegations that he funded his girlfriend's business venture. But Fedusa said this was merely a fabrication aimed at discrediting Matjila and removing him from his position. For more on this, I'm joined by Dennis George. He's the General Secretary of Fedusa. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. Talk to us about, if you were to remove your members from the GEPF, what would that involve and why do you want to do that?
Look, I think you said it in your introduction, you know, that people are afraid and they're worried about a Gupta-linked CEO would be, you know, installed with the PIC. And that's the reason why these allegations started to surface about, you know, the current CEO. And we saw what catastrophic impact this had at Eskom, at Prasa, and also at Transnet, where the person in the name of Brian Molefe that was found to be connected to Section World and the Guptas. When we saw what are we now discovering of the corruption, the adding up of money and extra monies for the Gupta family. And that's the reason why we, as a federation, are here to protect the interests of our members, and therefore we will keep the one option on the table of pulling out of this particular thing. And secondly, if we don't want to do that, that we want to strengthen the process in such a way that we make it safe for our members' money to be invested. And this is not short-term issues. These are long-term issues, and it's very critical for us to do that.
Have you engaged with other unions? Because COSATU has also weighed in on this matter. They've said they're observing what's happening at the PIC, but for them, that's where it ends. They're not going as far as you've gone. Yeah,
look, what we've done was we have engaged with the chairperson of the PIC, who is also the current Deputy Minister of Finance. And we've also engaged with the Minister of Finance when he went to COSATU and he made a suggestion that you know, government will look at a way for the government pension funds to bail out SAA. Now, from our point of view, for us, the important thing is that investments that come through the PIC has to be done through the mandate that is given to the PIC from the trustees of the Government Employee Pension Fund. That's the first safety requirement. The second requirement is that once the mandate has been approved, then the allocation, which is the amount of money that must be invested on behalf of the government workers in various sectors. So you can invest in infrastructure, you can invest in currencies, you can invest in property, and those are the kinds of things, you know. So to start off with, to say, look, the government pension fund must, as a matter of urgency, address the issues in SAA. You know, for us, it's starting at the wrong process, and that's the reason why we feel if a case has to be made to bail out SAA, then the trustees must put first a mandate in place. And one of the mandate things would be, because we don't trust government, there must be worker directors sitting on the boards, there must be good corporate governance, and we must be sure that the management that's going to be there is going to be of high quality.
Okay, so you haven't engaged with COSATU, then you've engaged with the Deputy Minister and so on, but not other unions?
No, look, the issue of engaging with COSATU is we're engaging with COSATU almost every day on various matters and so on. And we believe once we have the opportunity to engage with the COSATU unions, because remember, COSATU does not sit on the Government Employee Pension Funds, it's their affiliates. The same with Fedusa. Fedusa have a number of affiliates sitting in the government employee pension fund. It is Perspa that organizes nurses. It is Suid-Afrikaanse Onderwysunie that organizes teachers. It is the PSA that organizes prosecutors, general workers, professional workers. So we've got a number of trade unions in that sector. And the amount of people that we represent, it's also more than 230,000 members, because there's about 2.something million people in the public sector.
Thank you very much, Dennis George from Fedusa, for your time on SABC News. Fedusa's threat to pull more than 230,000 of its members out of the government employee pension fund is being closely monitored by the investment community.